Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Coders Arcade. As the Visvesvaraya Technological University or VTU in short has introduced Python newly into their curriculum, so being very adept in the same domain, we Coders Arcade thought of making syllabus oriented videos so that these videos can help the students to perform well in the examination. No doubt this is a new subject for the students, but we have been working in this field for a few years now. And so we plan to make the videos in such a way that the students can understand them and get a sense of the practical approach along with the theoretical approach. So we are covering the VTU syllabus for the branches Computer Science and Information Science for the 5th semester subject, which is Application Development using Python, such that the students can gain confidence of the subject and do well in the examination. This video is on module 1 regarding the syllabus. So let's start with the first topic. So this is the first topic, entering expressions into the interactive shell. Let me tell you one thing. For this, you have to launch the idle editor, which is also known as the integrated development and learning environment for Python. And here I can tell you one thing. The idle screen or the interactive shell can be opened from the search option in the Windows menu, or you can use the start menu to open the interactive shell. You have to just type idle and search on the start menu. You can click on that app and you can open the interactive shell. So here I want to tell you something. The basic operations are performed between variables. In the interactive shell, even an integer or a float value or any other values are treated as a variable, and the operators are like this. I will show you. This 2 here is a variable, this plus here is an operator, and again this 2 here is a variable. So this is the basic idea between using the interactive shell as a normal calculator also. And so here you can see that in Python 2 plus 2 is called an expression, which is the most basic kind of programming instruction in the language. Expressions consist of values such as 2 and operators such as plus, and they can always evaluate, that is reduce down to a single value. So what it means is 2 plus 2 will be operated using the plus operator and the answer 4 will be the final single value. So here I want to show you something. This is the total table for the math operators from highest to lowest precedence. We have the exponents, the modulus or the remainder, the integer division or the float division, the division, the multiplication, the subtraction, and finally the addition. So first is exponent, second one is the remainder or the modulus, third is the integer division, fourth is the normal division, fifth is the multiplication, sixth is the subtraction, and finally the addition operator. So let me show you in the idle environment to make you understand better. I'm opening the idle shell. Here, if I type 2 plus 2, it will act as a normal calculation, and when I press enter, you will get the result as 4. And if I give a single variable also, say 2, and if I press enter, it will also be executed. It will be considered as a single variable by Python shell. Now, to show you the other operations, let me take some other examples. So, for the exponent operator, I will write double stars. So this means 2 to the power 3, 2 multiplied 3 times, 2 into 2 into 2. So when I press enter, the result should be 2 power 3, which is 8. And after that, I will use the modulus or the remainder operator. For that, the symbol is percentage. And if I divide 5 by 3, the remainder should be 2. So when I press enter, as you can see here, the remainder is 2. The third one is the integer division, where if I suppose divide 22 by double forward slash and divide it by 8. So 8 to the 16, the remainder should be 6 here, but in this case we are only showing the quotient. So when I press enter, I should get is 2 because 8 to the 16 is the quotient and the remainder is 6, which will not be highlighted in this case. Then comes the division, which is the basic one. I will take a simple example, say 16 divided by 8. Here in this case the answer should be 2 because Python shell implicitly converts the value here to 2.0. This is called the implicit division or the implicit data type conversion here. And after that, let me take the multiplication example, which is pretty simple. I have to take 6 and say I am using the single star, which is the multiply operator, and if I multiply it by 2, the answer should be 12. So 6 into 2 is 12. This is the multiplication operator. And then let us look into the subtraction operator. I will take the simple example, 6 minus 2, it should be 4. So this is the subtraction operator. And finally, I will go into the addition operator. Let us take a simple example, say 6 plus 4. The answer should be 10. So without writing any other things, we can just write the name of the variable and we can check them in the Python shell, and it can be used as a normal calculator also. I am not taking any variable names here. I am just using the normal numbers as a variables and using the assignment operators. So this is doing the work for us. So this is a basic example of how to use the Python interactive shell. Here I have shown you how to enter expressions into the interactive shell. The next topic is the integers, the floating point and the string data types. So here guys, you have to remember that expressions are just values combined with operators, and they always evaluate down to a single value. But we will not be dealing with expressions all the time. Sometimes in our programs, and normally in our programs, we will be using data types. So what exactly are data types? A data type is a category for values, and every value belongs to exactly one data type. So the most commonly used data types in Python are listed here. You can see here, these are integers. Integers may be positive or negative. So it can be -2, -1, 0, or else it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And then comes the floating point numbers or the decimal numbers. These also have negative values as well as positive values. This can be -1.25, -1.0, it can be 0, or else it can be 0.5, 1.5, 23.5, etc, 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 anything else. And then comes the third type of data type. So the third type of data type is the strings. In strings, you will be having characters, symbols, or numbers. And the main thing about strings is that it has always to be written in quotes. As you can see here, the letter A is written between quotes, or else here double A is also written between quotes, triple A is written between quotes, and so on. These examples are all written between quotes. So this is the string data type. So this is regarding the common data types in Python. Now I will tell you about the errors that you can encounter while using the data types. So as you can see here, while writing the hello world, the starting is a quote and the ending is an exclamation mark. So here you will get a syntax error telling that end of line while scanning string literal. That means string literal should always start with a quote and end with a quote. It can be a single quote or a double quote. Now here let me show you with the idle shell or the interactive shell how to assign values to variables. So here I am simply taking a variable named var, and then I will press the assignment operator, or which is the symbol equal sign. and then I will use, you can use here any type of data types. First of all, I want to show you the integers or the integer data type. So here I am writing var equal to 1. It can be 2, it can be 3 or 4, or it can be any negative values as well, -1, it can be -2, etc. So if I write -2 and press enter, so here the variable named var has been assigned the value -2, which is an integer variable or an integer data type. Next, let me take another variable, say num is equal to 2.5. So this 2.5 is a floating point data type because it is a decimal number. If I press enter, this 2.5 value will be stored in the variable named num. If you want to store any string data types in the variables, then you can do it this way. You can take a variable named str string is equal to, you have to remember this convention, you have to write a quote, and in between the quotes, if you write say VTU and close the quotes, so this is a string value named VTU which has been stored into the string variable named string. If I press enter, you can see that this has been saved into the string variable. So these are the three common types of data types: the integer data type, the floating point data type, and the string data type. Now let me show you how to use the strings. So I will cover this topic as well, the string concatenation and replication. So here string concatenation means the addition of two strings. If we have a string say VTU and then we have another string named syllabus, how we can concatenate them and print them as a single string? Let me show you how to do that. I will go to the idle shelf, and here if I write under quotes say VTU and finish the quotes here, and then I will put one space and use the plus symbol. This plus symbol here is actually the concatenation operator. In this case, if I then write under quotes say syllabus and finish the quotes and then press enter, you can see that VTU syllabus has been concatenated together. But actually what happens is, you will not be getting a better idea because there is no space in between the two strings. So what you can do for that is, you can use space in between the quotes. I will show you how to do that. If you write V2 here, then put the concatenation symbol, and here if I give one space and then write syllabus and finish my quotes, now if I press enter, you can see that there is a space between the two strings. So this is how it is done. It makes the string look better and more readable. Now let me show you how to replicate the same string a certain number of times. For that, you have to use the replication or the multiplication symbol, which is the star. So I will show you how to do it. I will write semester and I will finish the quotes, and after that I will use the replication or the multiplication operator, and I will assign the number of times it has to be done. So let me take 5 here so that it gets replicated 5 times. If I press enter, you can see that semester has been replicated 5 times, but it is not understood in a better way because there is no space between the strings. So for that, again, as I did earlier, I will do the same. I will write semester and I will give a space after the semester string. Then I will finish my quote, and then I will use the replication operator and multiply it by 5. If I press enter, you can see that it has been easily distinguished, and this makes the string or the expression look better. So this is how string concatenation is done using the plus operator, and this is how string replication is done with the help of the star or the multiplication operator. You can give n number of times. Here I have shown by using 5. You can do it by any number of times using the number that you want. Here I want to show you one more thing. The errors which we will encounter while using the string concatenation. So let me tell you, if I write something under quotes, say VTU, and finish the quotes, and if I try to concatenate with any integer, say 12, now if I press enter, you can see here that there is an error. The error here is, let me highlight it for you, trace back, most recent call last, type error. The error is a type error. Can concatenate only string, not int to str, which means that this VTU here is a string and the 12 here is an integer value. So you cannot concatenate a string with an integer. You only can concatenate a string with another string. So I will take any number also in this string, say 5th SEM, and then I will provide a space also before it. So if I press enter now, see, it can easily be concatenated because both are strings. So you have to keep this in mind, otherwise you will encounter errors, and errors are a good way to understanding something better. Whenever you encounter with an error, you will know how to tackle it. So let us start our next topic, which is storing values in variables. First of all, let me tell you what are variables. A variable is actually like a box in the computer's memory where you can store a single value. And if you want to use the result of an evaluated expression later in your program, you can save it inside a variable. And to assign values to variables, we use the assignment statement, or it is also known as the assignment operator, which is an equal sign. So an equal sign is also known as the assignment operator, with the help of which we assign values to a variable. So here, as you can see in this picture, this spam is the name of the variable, and the value 42 here is stored in this box. So what I said is, the variable behaves as a box which stores the value in it. So 42 here is the value which is stored in the variable spam. So let me show it with the help of the idle shell. Here I will write the name of a variable, say spam, and I will assign the value with the help of the assignment operator, which is equal to, and I will write say 42, and if I press enter, it has been stored. Now if you want to review it, you type spam and press enter, you can see that the value inside the spam variable is shown here. So this is how we store values inside variables. So basically the variable spam is like a box in the computer's memory where we are storing the integer value 42 inside it. Now you can also store any other values inside variables. I will show you how to use string values or other values also. Suppose I am writing a variable number, and there I will be using a floating point number inside it, say 2.5. If I press enter, this 2.5 value is stored in the number. If I want to review it, I will type number and press enter. You can see the value inside this variable number is being highlighted or printed in the shell. Now if we want to store any other variables, say string variables, I will take one variable as chr and then I will use quotes and I will write learning. This is a string value and I have assigned this value to the variable chr. I will press enter. Now when you want to check it again, you have to type the name of the variable, which is chr. Then if I press enter, you can see the string value, which is learning, which was stored inside this variable, has been highlighted or printed in this case. So this was the idea regarding this. This spam is like a box in the computer's memory, which is a variable, and we stored the value 42 inside it. Now here you can see an example. As I showed you in the console or the idle shell, the spam variable had a value 40. Then to recheck it, we type the spam variable name and we got the value inside it. Again, we can take any other value, say eggs is equal to 2, and then we are adding this to spam plus eggs. We are getting 40 plus 2, that is 42. I will show you in the idle shell as well. Suppose I already have the spam variable with the value 42. Now I will take another variable, say eggs is equal to 2, and then if I write spam plus eggs and then press enter, what should happen is I should get 42 plus 2, which is 44, because the spam variable has the value 42 and the eggs variable has the value 2. So when I press enter, as you can see here, I'm getting 44 as the answer. So it's working all right. So this was the topic, storing values into variables. Here I want to tell you one more thing, which is, suppose a variable has been initialized and it has been given a value, or a value has been stored in it. After that, you can use it in expressions with other variables and values. But I want to tell you one more thing. Whenever a value is assigned to a variable, it is stored temporarily until and unless you change it. Suppose we are giving a new value to a variable, what happens is the old value is forgotten. So when a variable is assigned a new value, the old value is forgotten, which is why the old value is forgotten. What I mean to say is, I will tell you with the idle shell. Here you can see that my spam variable has a value 42. Now if I write spam is equal to 22 and press enter, and then if I check what is now in my spam variable, if I type spam and press enter, you can see that the value has been updated and it shows 22 now. The earlier value has been forgotten, which was 42. This has been forgotten, now it has been updated to 22. So as we change or put a new value to a variable, the older value is forgotten. The next topic is how to write your first program in the file editor. We use the file editor because while the interactive shell is good for running Python instructions one at a time, in order to write entire Python programs, we use the file editor. The file editor is similar to text editors like Notepad or TextMate, but it has some specific features for typing in source code. To open the file editor in idle, we select file and then the new window. I will show you in the idle shell. Suppose here when you go to file and then click on new file, you get a file like this. Just because I haven't saved it with any name, it is titled as untitled. And there are certain rules or certain differences between the file editor and the interactive shell. The basic difference is this: the interactive shell window will always be the one with the arrow key prompt, okay, and the file editor will not have the arrow key prompt. It will just have the single mouse cursor, which means that you can write your Python source code in that file. Now it's time to create our first program in the file editor. So now I will start it. I will go to my untitled file and I will start typing. I will print, say hello world, and then I will close the parenthesis. Then I want to ask the user his or her name. So I will write, what is your name? But right now I haven't provided any comments to make the user understand what actually my code is going to do. So I will use comments here and I will write, this program says hello and asks for my name. So that is what actually my program does. Now I can continue with it. Then I will take a variable, my name is equal to, I will use the input function here so that I can take an input from the user, his or her name. Then I will print the name of the user using the concatenation plus symbol. So I will type, it is good to see you. I will use comma and then I will close the quotes. I've given a space here, you can see that. It will be very easy to identify the string and the name of the user. After that I will use the plus concatenation symbol and then I will print the name of my variable, which is my name. And then I will close the quotes and press enter. So here we can also write inline comments to make it easy for the user to understand what actually we are doing. It asks for user name. Then we also can show the user the length of the string that the user has given input. So I will type the length of your name is, then I will finish the quotes and use the parenthesis to close it. Then I will print, I will use the len keyword which determines the length of a string. Then I will use my variable name and I will close the parenthesis and again I will close it. Then I will press enter. After that I will print the user's age. For that I will ask the user, what is your age? Question mark, and I will give a space and finish the quotes and close the parenthesis. And here I will take a new variable, my age is equal to input from the user using the input function. Then I will press enter and I will print the user's age using the concatenation. I will type you will be, I've given a space, then I will concatenate using the plus symbol, and because the user's input is always a string variable, I have to change it to string, otherwise I will not be able to concatenate. So what I will do is I will use the str keyword, but I want to show the user says after 1 year. So for that, what I will do is I will use the int keyword inside the str function, and then I will write the variable my age, and I will again do +1 so that I can print the future age after 1 year. I will close the parenthesis once again. So this is done. Then again I will concatenate and write in a year and full stop. Then I will use the quotes again. So what it is doing is, here I am taking the input here in this line. I am taking the age of the user, and then I'm printing the future age after 1 year. What I'm doing is I'm writing you will be, then I'm taking the integer value of my age and adding 1 to it. So if it is 4, it will become 5. Then just because I have to concatenate with a string, I am using this whole thing under the str keyword. So what it will do is it will convert it into a string so that I can concatenate. And then afterwards again I am using the plus symbol to concatenate, and I am writing in a year. So this is it. Let me now show you how to run this source code. First of all, you have to save it. I will go to file, then I will click on save as, and I will go to my desktop where I have already created a folder, Python files. Here I will click on it, then I will type hello.py, and then I will press enter. So now you can see here the file has been saved here. You can see that the file has been saved as hello.py. So now to run your source file from the file editor, what we need to do is we need to click on run, and then we need to run module, or else you have a shortcut as well. As you can see here, it is F5. So I will click on run module, which will open the idle shell. As you can see here, I have encountered an error. When I am running my code, you can see I have encountered an error because it shows there is an extra parenthesis here. I will click on OK, then I will edit it here. I will remove this extra parenthesis. Then I will go to run, and then again I will run my module. It is asking me to save before it. I will click on OK. Then here you can see hello world has been printed. Then what is your name? It's asking, but it doesn't look good, right? Because there is no question mark. So again I can go to my file and I can change it here. I can go to my file and I can give a question mark here. Now it's done. I will again press Ctrl plus S to save it. Then I will run my module once again. Now you can see it has been changed. Earlier it was like this. Now it has changed and it has become better than the other one. So here I will write the name John and press enter. So here you can see that it is good to see you John has been printed. The length of the string which is given by the user is JOHN. It is 4. So the length is 4 year. It is being printed. Now the age is, it is asking me for the age. Say the age of the user is 5. I'm giving 5 as the input and pressing enter. So it's giving me the output as this. You will be 6 in a year. So that's it. It is about how to use the file editor to run your code. So as you have already learned how to write your first source code or program in the file editor, let us take a quick tour of the Python instructions it uses by looking at what each line of code does. So first of all, let me tell you about the comments. So the comments are always started with a hash symbol, and after the comments, whatever sentences or statements we write is ignored by Python. We can use them to write notes or remind us what the code is actually trying to do. Any text followed by the hash mark is part of a comment. A comment can be a single line or a multi-line, or it can also be an inline comment. I will tell you in a better way about this by showing you the previous example. Here you can see that this is a comment because it is written by the hash mark and followed by this statement. That's why this is a comment. And as I told you, it is an inline comment because it is written in between the code. After the print statement, I have used the comment. That's why it is an inline comment. This is also a kind of a comment. Now, let me go to the other points. Now comes the print function. The print function actually displays the string value inside the parenthesis on the screen. So whatever information is written inside the parenthesis in quotes or outside quotes is printed on the screen. That is the work done by the print function. Here in my previous program, here you can see that I have used the print function, and after that I have used in between the quotes hello world. So what it did was, in the idle screen or on the idle shell, I will show you, hello world was printed. You can see here. And this is the work done by the print function. Let's go to the next one, the input function. What the input function does is, the input function actually waits for the user to type some text on the keyboard and then press enter. As soon as the user presses enter, the information is been printed on the screen. So as you can see here I have used the input function. As soon as the user writes or gives any information, this thing is printed on the screen. I will show you in the screen. As soon as the user printed John, it was printed here. Then the next line of the code was executed. Here you can see, then I again used one print function where it is typing, it is good to see you, then the John input given by the user was printed. So this is the work done by the input function. It actually waits for the user to type some text on the keyboard and then press enter. Now, how to print the username? I have already explained about it. I will again tell you. Here, as you can see, I am using the concatenation and I use the print function here and I wrote it is good to see you. Then with the help of the plus symbol, I concatenated it with my print function. So the value stored in the myname variable, which was given by the user as John, was printed along with it. So this is how you print it on the Python shell or the screen. Again, let me go to the other one, the length function. What is the use of the length function? The length function is passed and actually it gives the integer value of the length of the characters in that string. That is the use of the length function. It is actually used to find the length of the characters in a given string. So here in the shell, as soon as the user gave the input John, you could have seen here, I will show you in the idle shell. See, the input given by the user was John, then the length was printed using the print function and it was coming 4 because JOHN are 4 characters. That's why the length of the string was 4 and it was printed. So this was the work of the length function. Now comes the str, the int and the float functions. How and where to use those things. For that, I will tell you, the str function is actually used to convert any integer value or float value to a string value. The int function is actually used to convert float or string values to integer values, and the float function is used to convert string or integer values to float values. This is the work of all these 3 functions. Now let me show some examples so that you can understand better. I will go to my idle shell. Now as you can see, I have my Python shell here. What I will do is, I will use the str function. Then in the brackets I will take 23 and close the bracket. If I press enter here, the integer value 23 has been converted to a string value by using the str function. In the same way, if I use the int keyword and then if I take any string value inside it, say 23, and then if I close the bracket and press enter, now it has been converted to a integer value from a string value by using the int keyword or the int function. Now let me show you how to use the float function. Inside the float function, again I will write 12 and press enter. You will automatically see that it has been converted to 12.0. So this is the use of the float function. So this is the use of the three functions: the int function, the str function, and the float function in Python. Now I will show you how to compare two values. If I try to compare a string value and a float value with the comparison operator, which is a double equal sign, as you can see here I have used the double equal sign, and if I try to compare them, I will try to compare the integer value 42 with the string value of 42, and then if I press enter, it says false because these two are not the same. But if I try to compare 42 to this value 0042.00, we know that these two are equal values. Let's see what Python interprets. I press enter. These two are equal. So this means that you can check the equivalence of two values with the help of this. Now if I type 42 is equal a string value, say 42, and then press enter, it will be false because one is an integer value and one is a string value. So this is what I wanted to show you. The next topic or the next chapter is flow control. So now you know the basics of individual instructions and that a program is just a series of instructions. But the real strength of programming isn't just running or executing one instruction after another. Rather, it is based on how the expressions evaluate. The program can decide to script instructions, repeat them, or choose one of several instructions to run. For that, the flow control statements can decide which Python instructions to execute under which conditions. For that, let me tell you or show you an example where I will show you the best example for flow control. Here I have a flow chart where I will show you what to do if it is raining or if it is not raining. I'm starting it and I'm checking the condition whether it is raining or not. If it's raining, then if it is raining and if it is yes, then do you have the umbrella? If you have an umbrella, then yes, it will come here and then you can go outside and the program will end. But if you don't have an umbrella, you have to wait for a while. And then after waiting for a while, we will be checking again if it is raining or not. If it is raining again, then we will wait for another moment or another certain amount of time. Then we will check again and wait for a while. Then if it is raining again, then it will be continued. This loop will be continued. Otherwise, if after waiting for a while we are checking and it is not raining, then we can go outside and the program will end. So that is a simple flowchart to explain what we should do if it is raining or not. So this is an example, hope you've understood. Now I will go on to the next thing, Boolean values. Now we already have learnt about the integer, the floating point and the string data types. They have unlimited number of possible values, but the Boolean data types have only two values, which are true and false. That's it. They don't have any other values. They only have true and false as the values which you can provide them. And you have to remember something while using the Boolean values. It should always be starting with the capital letters. So true is represented by the capital T and false is represented by the capital F. Now let me show you some examples where you can understand it in a better way. I will go to the idle shell and here I will type a variable name, say span is equal to, I will write true. Remember here, the P has to be capital here. That's why it has been highlighted to a blue color. Otherwise, if I type T in small letters, you can see that it hasn't been highlighted here. So, you always have to provide it with a capital letter. Whether it is true or it is false, they will be started with a capital letter. So, I will press enter. And if I again check my span variable and press enter, you can see the value inside it is a Boolean value which is false. Now, if I only type true, this is not a variable name, it is a Boolean value. If I try to assign true to it or any other string to it by using the quotes, it will display an error because it is saying syntax error, cannot assign to true, because true is a built-in keyword which is the meaning of the Boolean value true. It cannot be assigned any other value. So that is it regarding the Boolean values. Now let me move on to the comparison operators. Now the comparison operators compare two values and evaluate down to a single Boolean value. So the comparison operators that we have are the equal operator or the equal to, and the not equal operator or the not equal to, the less than operator, the greater than operator, the less than equal to operator and the greater than equal to operator. These are all the operators that we have in comparison operators. Now let me show you how to use them in the idle shell. I will write 42 equal 42. Just because these two are equal, if I press enter, it will be true. But if I had given 42 is equal to say 32, then the answer which I should get is false, because these two are not true. So now I have taken a new Python shell for you where I will try to explain the comparison operators. If I write 4 less than 5 and press enter, here you can see the answer is true. If I type 4 greater than 5 and press enter, the answer should be false because 4 is not greater than 5. Okay, now I can use the greater than equal to or the less than equal to operators as well. I will show you. If I write 4 greater than equal to 3, because 4 is greater than 3, it will also be true. But if I write 4 less than equal to 7, just because 4 is less than 7, it will also be true. But if I write 5 less than equal to 3, it will be false. So this is how to use the comparison operators. Now you can check strings also use the comparison operators. I will simply show you how to do that in the idle shell. Here, if you write a string, say hello, and compare it with this hello again, just because both the strings are same, it should give you the output as true. Now, if I show any string, say hello, and use the not equal to operator, which is used by exclamation mark and the equal sign, and then I will type S span. If I press enter, these two strings are not equal, so the result should be true. This is all about the comparison operators. After that, let me tell you the difference between the double equal and the single equal operators. The double equal is a comparison operator and the single equal is a assignment operator. The double equal is used to compare two values, and the single equal or the assignment operator is used to assign any kind of value, maybe boolean, integer, string, float, to any variable. This is the difference between the two. So now you understand that a double equal or a comparison operator is used to compare two values, and the single equal or the assignment operator is used to assign any value to a variable. The next topic that I am going to cover is the Boolean operators. There are three Boolean operators: and, or, and not. And these are used to compare Boolean values. Like comparison operators, these evaluate these expressions down to a Boolean value. Let us know more about the Boolean operators. These are the binary Boolean operators which I am going to talk about now. So what it will do is, the and or operators always take two Boolean values or expressions. That's why they are called the binary operators. What the and operator does is, it evaluates an expression to true if both Boolean values are true. Otherwise, it evaluates to false. You will understand better if I show you this table. This is the truth table for the AND operator. Here what happens is, if both the expressions are true, then the result evaluates to true. Otherwise, in all the other cases, if it is true and false, it is false. If it is false and true, it is false. If it is false and false, it will evaluate to false. On the other hand, the OR operator evaluates an expression to true if either of the two Boolean values is true. If both are false, it evaluates to false. So this is the truth table for the OR operator. See here, you can understand, if any one of the expression is true, then it evaluates to true. But in the fourth case, when both the inputs are false, then the answer is also false. Let me tell you about the NOT operator. The NOT operator actually takes only one Boolean value. What the NOT operator does is, it simply evaluates the opposite Boolean value. If we provide true, it will give the answer as false. If we evaluate false, it will give the answer as true. And we can also use a nested NOT operator, like four NOTs, as you can see here, it has been used. And one NOT will negate the other not. Again, one not will negate the other not. So the result in this case is again true. So the result in this case is again true. So let me show you all these examples with the help of the idle shell. So as I explained you already, I'll go to the idle shell, and if I write true and press enter, it will evaluate to true, because in the case of the AND, we had this truth table where we showed for only if the input values are both true and true, then only the expression evaluates to true. In all the other cases, it is false. So I'll go to my initial once again, and if it is true and false, and I press enter, it is false. And in all the other cases, it is false. In case of the OR operator, if any one of the inputs is true, it is true. But if both are false, in this case only the result or the expression evaluates to false. So this is about the OR and the AND operators. Now let me move on to the NOT operator. If I write not true and press enter, it will just do the opposite. It will change it to false. And if I type not of false and press enter, it will give us true as a result. Now if we use a nested not, say not, and not of true, what exactly will happen is this not will erase or remove the effect of this not. Again, this not will remove the effect of this not. So ultimately what we will get is true. So this is what I am trying to explain here. This is all about the AND, OR and the NOT operators. So here was the explanation of the NOT truth table. Not true means false and not false means true. The next topic is mixing Boolean and comparison operators. Now, as we know that the comparison operators evaluate to Boolean values, you can use them in expressions with the Boolean operators. So, what we can do is, I will tell you about the AND, OR and the NOT operators, which are known as the Boolean operators, because they always operate on Boolean values which are true and false. Therefore, we can use the Boolean operators and the comparison operators together by mixing them. Let me show you some examples here. Here you can see this is an expression and this is another expression, and these two have been combined together with the help of the AND operator. And here 4 is less than 5 and 5 is also less than 6. So this is true and this is also true. So the resulting answer is also true. In the second case, 4 is less than 5, which is true, and 9 is less than 6 is not true. So this is true and the second one, this is false. So true and false results in false. Again, in the third case, 1 is not equal to 2, this is false, and 2 is equal to 2, this is true. So in the OR operator, I told you that if either of the input is true, then the answer is true. So this will be evaluated to true. So let me show you the same examples in the idle shell. I will write 4 less than 5 and 4 less than 6. And here, because 4 is less than 5 and 4 is also less than 6, both the inputs are true. Therefore, the AND result when I press enter will also be true. In the second case, I will tell you something which results the false option. So I'm typing 4 is less than 5. This is true, and I'm using the AND Boolean operator, and 4 is less than 3. So in the second case, this one is false. So when I run this or when I press enter, I will get as false because the first part is true and the second part is false because 4 is not less than 3. Therefore, the result we are getting is false. So here, like the assignment operators, the Boolean operators also have a precedence. It is executed from the left hand side to the right hand side. So first the left hand side expression is evaluated, and then the right hand side expression is evaluated. Then they are both combined together or mixed together with this AND Boolean operator, and then the result is displayed. So this is the precedence of the expressions or the Boolean operators. Now I will show you with the help of the OR operators. Here, if I use 4 less than 5 or 4 less than 3, and here you can see that the first part is true because 4 is less than 5, but the second part is not true because 4 is not less than 3, but this has been combined with the help of the OR operator. In case of the OR operator, we know that whenever any of the inputs is true, then the final answer is true. So this result will be true when I press enter. You can see here the answer is true. And I will show you another one. I will take both the values as false. I will take 4 is greater than 5, and I will write OR, and 4 is greater than 6. In this case, both the expressions are false. 4 is not less than 5 and 6 is not less than 4. So when I press enter here, it will result in false because both the input expressions are false. You can also check it. I will show you the last example. So you can also use multiple Boolean operators in an expression along with the comparison operators. So this is the example that I want to show you. So here you can see that 2 plus 2 is compared to 4 using the comparison operator. Here 2 plus 2 is 4 and this is 4, so this is true, and 2 plus 2 is not equal to 5, but this statement is preceded by the not operator, so this whole expression will become true. So this is true and this is true. Again I am using the AND operator here, and again 2 into 2 is 4 and it is compared to 2 plus 2. So here also it is 4 and here also it is 4. So all the three expressions are giving us the same result, which is true and true and true. So the result should be true. Therefore, if I check it in the idle shell, I will write 2 plus 2 equal 4. Then I will use the AND operator, and I will write not of 2 plus 2 equal 5, and again I will use the not of AND operator, and I will write 2 into 2, and for convenience I'll use the brackets here. Then I will write equal 2 plus 2. So here this will be true because 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. This will be false because 2 plus 2 is not equal to 5, but we're using the not operator in front, so this will be converted to true. And this here 2 plus 2 is equal to 2 into 2, both are 4, so this is also true. So all the three expressions here are giving us the same result, which is true, true, and again true. So when I press enter, this would produce the result as true. As you can see here, the result is true. So now here, as you can see, this is the precedence. Python evaluates the not operator first, and the AND operator, and then the OR operator. This is the precedence. So here I will show you the way Python actually evaluates it. First, the left hand side is evaluated. 4 is less than 5 is true, so true is the output here, and then the right hand side is evaluated here in this case. So 5 is less than 6, which is also true, so true and true should give us the result as true. This is the way Python evaluates the expressions, and that's why we were getting the result as true. The next topic is elements of flow control. So, flow control statements often start with a part called the condition, and all are followed by a block of code called the clause. Before I tell you about Python's specific flow control statements, I will tell you what actually are condition and blocks. So, what actually are conditions? The Boolean expressions that I showed you in the earlier topics can also be considered conditions, which are the same thing as expressions. But condition actually is just a more specific name in the context of flow control statements. And we need to remember that conditions always evaluate down to a Boolean value. It can be either true or it can be false. Therefore, a flow control statement decides what to do based on whether its condition is true or false. And almost every flow control statement uses a condition. Now, as we know about conditions, let us know what actually is blocks of code. So lines in Python code can be grouped together in blocks. You can tell when a block begins and ends from the indentation of lines of code. There are three rules for blocks. The rules are here as follows. The first rule is the blocks always begin when the indentation increases. In normal cases there will be no indentation, but as soon as we start a condition, the indentation increases because we get some space like 4 spaces or a tab. You will get to know it better when we show it in the console, the idle shell, or in any other integrated development environment editor. So the second rule for blocks is that blocks may contain any other blocks. And at the same time, there is a third rule which tells that blocks always end when the indentation decreases to 0 or to a containing blocks indentation. That means as soon as we get out of the indentation, the block is also completed. It ends the block. So now, as you can see here, blocks are very easy to understand by looking at some indented code. So let's find the blocks in part of a small game program shown here. So here you can see if name equal Mary, Then you can see there is a space between the next print statement. This space is known as the indentation, and here this block has started. And again you can see there is a new if statement. So this is the indentation of this if block, and again this is an else block. This is the indentation of this else block. So here you can see in the paragraph written here, the first block of code starts at the line print hello Mary. Here this is a block of code and contains all the lines after it. Inside this block there is another block which only has a single line in it, and it is printed access granted. Here you can see this is the block which is inside the other block, and the third block here is the else block. In the else block we have this thing which is wrong password. So there are three blocks here. I will remove everything for you, remove the highlighted text for you so that you can understand better. So this is one block, this is another block, this is another block. So this can be identified with the help of this space. See this space and this space and this space. This space means the indentation. It can be either 4 spaces or a single tab. So this is about the blocks of code and the conditions in elements of flow control. The next topic is flow control statements. Now let us move into the most important piece of flow control, that is the statements themselves. The statements actually represent the diamonds you saw in the flowchart which I showed you in the earlier examples. For example, I can show you this thing. These are the statements actually. These are the statements which, when executed, if are true, print some statements, and if are false, print some other statements. Now let me tell you in brief about the statements. There are many kinds of statements in the flow control. The first one are the if statements. The most common types of flow control statement is the if statement. An if statements clause will be executed if the if statements condition is true, and if the condition is false, then the clause will be skipped. The basic way to understand an if statement is that if this condition is true, execute the code in the clause. That is the simple way to understand an if statement. So the if statement in Python consists of the following: the if keyword, a condition, that is an expression that evaluates to true or false. The third one is a colon to end the statement syntax, and starting on the next line there will be an indented block of code which is called the if clause. So for example, this is an if statement: if name equal Alice and followed by a colon, then on the next line the clause will start, which here is the print statement. It says hi Alice. So let me explain you with the help of a flowchart so that you can understand it better. Here I have the start of the flowchart. Now this is a condition. Here if the name is equal to Alice, if this condition is true, then it will print Alice, or else if the condition is false, then it will end the if statement. So this is the basic flowchart to explain an if statement. Now comes the else statements. An if clause can be optionally followed by an else statement. And again, like the if clause, the else clause is executed only when the condition of the else statement is true. Or else you can understand it in a better way as follows. When the statement of the if clause is false, then the else statement clause will be executed. So what I mean to say is, when the statement of the if clause is false, then the program control will be moved to the else block, and then the else block clause will be executed. That's it. And else statement does not have any condition, and the else statement has the following. It has the else keyword, a colon to end the else syntax, and starting on the next line it has an indented block of code which is known as the else clause. So returning to our flow chart once again, I will explain you once again so that you understand it better. Here, as you can see, this is the start of the flow chart. Then here is the condition. If the name is equal Alice, then if it is true, it will print hi Alice, and then as you can see here, it will end the program. And if the condition here, name equal to Alice, is false, then it will print hello stranger. So this is the if block of the code, and this is the else block of the code. If the if block is false, then the control is moved to the else statement, and then the else clause is printed. So that this is a basic if else statement to understand through a flowchart. Now comes the elif statement. An elif statement is used when you have more than one or two conditions to be executed in the same program code. So for the definition, now you can say that when we have only one condition in the if clause, then what happens is, if it is false, then the control will be moved to the else block, then the else block clause will be executed. But in some cases you might have more than one conditions to execute in the same program. In that case, what we can do is we can use the elif statement. Suppose we need to check something regarding the temperature. If the temperature is below a certain degree, say 15 degree, then we can say it is cold. If it is between 15 to 25, then we can say it is a very nice day. If it is more than 25, then we can say it is a very hot day. So in this type of conditions, we have to use the if, elif and else statements. So the elif statements will have the elif keyword, then a condition which is an expression that evaluates to true or false. Then it is followed by a colon which ends the elif statement, and starting on the next line it has an indented block of code which is called the elif clause. So it is similar to the if statement, but it has a extra condition which we need to execute. So here is an example. If the name is Alice, then it will print hi Alice, but if the age is less than 12, then it is printing you are not Alice kiddo. So this is just a funny way to understand the if and the elif statements. Now let me take some examples and show you so that you can understand it better. From now on, I will be using the PyCharm IDE, which is very easy to use, and it actually gives a better control over the running of the program. So here I will take an input from the user, say age is equal to, just because age is an integer value, I have to convert it into integer right away, and I will take the input now, and then I will press enter. I will take the next variable, which is name is equal to, and again I will take input from the user, and then third step I will be starting my if statement. Now I will write if name equal, I will take a string, say Alice, then I have to end it with a colon, and after that, as you can see here, as I press enter, it has come into the indentation. So this space which you can find here is the indentation. So when I press enter, it automatically gets indented. Now I will write my clause or the condition. If name is Alice, then I will print hello Alice. Hello Alice. Now I will come out of the indentation and write my elif statement, and I will check with my age variable and write age less than 12 colon, then it will print you are not Alice kiddo. It's just a fun way to understand about the syntax of the if and elif and the else statements. And then I will use the else statement, and here I will print not Alice, neither a little kid. So this is what I wanted to show you. Now I will run my program. In case of PyCharm, to run my program, you can see the play button here. I have to click on it, or else you can use the shortcut which is Shift plus F10. Now when I run my program, you can see here it is asking me for the user input, which is the name, but actually we cannot see anything here, so it's very difficult to understand. So what I will do is I will print a message on the console. Sorry, this is age and space. The name also I will give a message name and then space. Now it looks better. I will rerun my program. And now here you can see it is asking for the age. Let the age be 6. I'll press enter and let the name be John. When I press enter, you can see it's printing you are not Alice kiddo. Now if I run my program again to check the other conditions, here I will give the age to be 13 and the name to be Alice and press enter. Now it's printing hello Alice. Now let me take the third condition. I will run again, and then I will give the age to be 14 years, and then I will give the name to be, say, Danny, and press enter. Now the third condition is satisfied. It's printing you are not Alice, neither a little kid. So now as you can see here, the program is working, and this was the logic behind it. So with this simple program you can understand about the if, elif and the else statements. This is the if statement, this is the if block of code or the if clause, then this is the elif statement, and this is the elif block of code, and this is the else statement, and this is the else block of code. Now you can use the elif statement whenever you have to encounter or tackle more than one conditions in a program. Then only we use the elif statement. So this is it. So the next topic is the break statements. So what is the use of the break statements? The break statement is used to get out of the loop of a while clause, or in other words you can say that it is a shortcut of getting the program execution to break out of a while loops clause. So whenever the program execution reaches the break statement, it immediately exits the while clause. So in the code, a break statement simply contains the break keyword. So as soon as the user provides the correct input, then the execution goes out of the loop and the program is ended with the help of the break keyword. In the same way, we have the continue statements. The continue statements are similar to the break statements, but the difference between the continue statement and the break statements is that the break statement is used to get out of a while loop's iteration, but the continue statement is used to go to the start of the while loop and check the condition once again and then run the code once more to check the condition. So I will repeat it. The break statement is used to get out of a while loops clause, and the continue statement is used to jump to the beginning of the while loop. So let me show this with an example in PyCharm. Here I will take an infinite loop while true and press enter so that I can get into the infinite loop. I will print and ask the user for the name. Enter name, and I'll put a space, and I will use the name variable and the input function to prompt the user for the name, and I will use the empty string to distinguish between the input and the message. I'll press enter and I will use the condition if name equal my string, let it be Joe, then break. So as soon as the program encounters the break statement, it will go out of the loop, but for that the name typed by the user has to be correct to this string. But I have to end this if statement with a colon. Then I will press enter and get out of this loop, and I will print, say thank you. I will put it in capital letters. So when I run this, you can see it is prompting me for the name. I will write any other name, say Harry, and press enter. So because the name is not correct to the string value that I have provided in the program, it is asking me the name again. I will type John and press enter. Again it is asking me for the name because John is not the correct string. So if I type the correct string, which is Joe, and press enter, see here it is going out of the loop and it is printing the last statement, which is thank you, as you can see here. So this is how to use the break statement. Now let me show you how to use the continue statement here. I will delete this part and I will print, enter the name, then I will take the name variable and take the user input, and then I will check with the not equal to operator here, and I will write if name is not equal to Joe, then I will tell the program to continue. Whenever I use the continue statement, what will happen is it will again jump the control to the beginning of the while loop and it will again check the condition. When the name is correctly Joe, then it will come to the next line. It will come out of this continue statement, it will come to the next line. Then I will print a message. I will say, hi Joe, what is the password? I will type. I will give a hint to the user as well. I will say it is a fish. So then I will press enter and I will ask the password from the user. password equal to, I will use the input function and I will distinguish the input with the help of a string, empty string. Then I will check the password with the if statement. If password equal to say swordfish, then I will end it with a colon and press enter. Then I will use the break statement. So whenever the password is equal to swordfish, then it will come out of the control of the while loop and it will go out. So when the control goes out, I will print access granted. So now when I run my program, you can see that it's asking for the name. I will type Harry once and press enter. Because the name is not Harry, it has to be Joe. That's why it is asking me the name once again. This is done with the help of the continue here. And now when I provide the correct name, which is Joe, I'll press enter and see it is going to the next part. It is printing this message. So when I type the password, as I know the password, I will type the correct password, which is swordfish, and press enter. Now you can see that it has gone out of the loop with the help of this break statement, and it has printed the access granted message. You can see here the access granted message has been printed. So this is how to use the continue and the break statements in a program. So what happens is, when the user gives the input correctly, which is Joe, then it will go to this print statement. Otherwise, when the user doesn't give the input correctly, if it is not Joe, then because of the continue statement, the control will be given back to the beginning of the while loop and it will again check the condition. But when it is correct, then it will print this statement and then it will ask the user for the password, and whenever the user enters the correct password, then because of the break statement, it will go out of the loop and it will print access granted. So this is how we use the continue and the break statements in a program. The continue is to go to the beginning of the loop and break is to go out of the control of the while loop. The next topic is the while loop statements. So with the help of the while loops, what we can do is we can make a block of code execute over and over again. The code in a while clause will be executed as long as the while statement condition is true. So as long as the condition that we provide in the while statement is true, the code will be executed over and over again. As soon as the condition is false, it will come out of the loop. But as long as the condition is true, it will be continuing in that same block of code over and over again. So the while statement always consists of the following: the while keyword to start the while loop, a condition which is an expression that evaluates to true or false, and then the colon to end it, and finally starting on the next line we will have the indented block of code, which is also known as the while clause. Actually, a while statement looks similar to an if statement. The difference is where actually how they behave. In case of the if clause, the program execution continues after the if statement, but at the end of the while clause, the program execution jumps back to the start of the while statement. So this while clause is often called the while loop or just the loop. So let me show you two examples so that you can understand it better. Here I have taken two examples using the if statement and also the while loop statement. Here you can see I have taken a variable spam and assigned it the value 0. And I have written the if statement and taken if spam is less than 5, then I will print hello world, and then I am incrementing the value of the spam variable to spam plus 1. And again I have written the same code with the help of the while statement. This is the entire code. Here what I have done is I have taken the same spam variable and assigned it the 0 value. Then I have used the while loop. While spam less than 5, I have printed hello world, and again I have incremented spam by spam plus 1. This is actually what I have done. I have written two same programs, but here I have used the if statement and here I have used the while loop statement. Now the difference between these two statements is that here in the first case the hello world string will be printed only once, but in the second statement the hello world statement will be printed 5 times because of the while loop, because it will be continued until and unless the value of 5 becomes equal to or more than 5. So here you can see these statements are similar. Both if and while check the value of spam, and if it's less than 5 they print a message. But actually when we run the code, we will find for the if statement the output is simply hello world only once, but for the while statement it is hello world repeated 5 times. So let me explain it with the help of a flow chart for the if and the while loop so that you get it in a better way. Here as you can see, this is the start of the code, and here is the condition spam less than 5. If this is true, then it will go to this block and print hello world, and then I have incremented the value of spam variable by spam plus 1. And then in the if block it doesn't go back to the condition, it directly comes to the end of the statement. That's why we will be getting only one hello world string as the output. But in case of the while loop, what is happening is this is the start of the program and this is the condition spam less than 5, and here when the value of spam is less than 5, if it is true then it will go to the print statement and it will print the hello world string, and then it will increment the value of spam by 1, and then again as you can see here it is again returning the control to this condition. Again it will be checking if the value of 5 is less than 5, value of spam is less than 5, because here it was 0 and we started by incrementing it to 1, now it's 1, so it will again check and again it will be continuing. So this loop will continue until and unless the value of spam becomes equal to or greater than 5. So here we will be getting the output more than one time, that is 5 times. But in the if block of code, here we will be getting it only once. Let me show you with the help of PyCharm. I am taking the spam variable and assigning it the value of 0. Then I am starting with the if statement and checking the condition if spam less than 5 and colon, then I will press enter. I will print hello world, and then I will increment the value of spam by writing spam is equal to spam plus 1. Now let me run it so that I can check the output. Here you can see the hello world has been printed only once when I am using the if statement, but when I change my program and use the while statement, you will see it you will see the difference when I run this program. I will run it. Here you can see the hello world string has been printed 5 times. So this is because the while loop again sends the control over this loop and it continues till the value of 5 becomes equal to or greater than 5. So in our case the hello world string has been printed 5 times, but when I did with the if statement, it was only executing the program for one time and we get hello world as a single output. So this is the difference while using the if statement and the while loop. Now let me tell you one more thing. I will show you another way to define while loops. It is also known as the annoying while loop. The name suggests that as long as you don't get the right answer or the right input, you will be continuing on the loop endlessly and it will keep on continuing as long as you don't get the correct input. So in the PyCharm, let me show you how to do it. I will take a variable name is equal to an empty string. Then I will use my while loop and write while name not equal to a string your name, while name not equal to your name, print please enter the valid message, and here I have to provide a colon or else you will be getting the red mark which explains that there is an error in the code. Now the red mark is not visible, so it means our program is okay. Now I will press enter. Then I will take name is equal to, I will use the input function and then I will prompt the user to provide an input, and here I will write enter message, and then I will come out and print thank you. So when I run this, you will find that it's asking me for the message. I will write name and enter. No, it's not going out of the loop. I will write name again. I will write get. I can write anything I want, but as soon as I type the correct keyword your name and press enter, you can see it's printing thank you and it's exiting from the program. So this is an example of an annoying while loop. Suppose you are trapped in an infinite loop, then what you can do is, there might be a certain case when you may be trapped in an infinite loop. So if you ever run a program that has a bug causing it to get stuck in an infinite loop, what you need to do is you have to press Ctrl+C, or else you can also do one more thing. You can go to the shell option in the idle shell and click the restart shell option. So here is an example of an infinite loop. While true, print hello world. So the meaning of this while true is that while expression, this true is a Boolean value which will always give a Boolean output which is true. So this will be an infinite loop and it will never end and it will keep on printing hello world. for a repeated amount of times until and unless we stop the program. Let me show it with the help of the idle shell. Here I will type while true. Now when I write this and enter, it will enter into an infinite loop. Here I will print hello world, and I will press the quotes and press enter, and then when I press enter, you can see that it is printing hello world for a numerous amount of times without exiting the loop. To exit the loop, what we need to do is we have to press Ctrl C, or else we can go to shell and restart shell option is there. You can click on that. You have the shortcut for that also, which is Ctrl plus F6. Now I will show you how to do that with the help of the shortcut from the keyboard, which is Ctrl C. As soon as I pressed Ctrl C, you can see that it is displaying something. Trace back most recent call last. It's saying keyboard interrupt. So with the help of this, you can stop the infinite loop, or you can come out of the infinite loop. The next topic is the for loops and the range function. So the for loop is similar to the while loop, but the difference is that the while loop keeps looping while its condition is true. That is why the name is while loop. But if we want to execute a block of code only a certain number of times, then we can do this with a for loop statement and the range function. So in a code, a for loop statement looks for something like for I in range 5, and it always includes the following. So a for loop will always have the following things in it: the for keyword to start the for loop, then followed by the variable name, which is also called the loop variable for the for loop, and the in keyword, and then a call to the range function method with up to 3 integers passed to it. The 3 integers that are passed to the for loop or the range function are the initial value, the final value, followed by the steps, and then it is ended with a colon, and then starting on the next line we have an indented block of code. It is also called the for clause, like the if clause and the while clause. Now let us see an example of a program where we will be using the for loop. So this is an example. Here the print statement is being used, and it is printing my name is, and then the for loop is used where I is the loop variable and the range function is used, and only one integer value is given, which is 5. So this for loop will iterate for 5 times, and then inside the for loop clause is this, where it is printing Jimmy 5 times with concatenation of the I variable. But here I is an integer, so to concatenate it we are using the str keyword, so that it is converted to a string and concatenated with this Jimmy 5 times string. So here when we run the program, we will find an output like this. As you can see here, this will be the output of the program as I showed you above. Here my name will be printed, and Jimmy 5 times will be printed 5 times along with the value of the loop variable I. So as you can see here, it starts from 0 and it goes on till 1, 2, 3 and 4. And here you have to remember, in between the range function, whatever value of the number is given, it will be starting from 0 index and it will be going on to the integer value -1. So if it is 5, it will be from 0 till 4. So here you can see it is printing from 0 till 4. So I will try to explain it to you by writing a code. I will use the print function and I will write my name is and then I will start the for loop and use the loop variable I in range and take 5 as the value and use the colon to end it. Then I will go into the for loop and then I will print I will type Jimmy 5 times followed by a bracket and then I will again start quotes and space. Then I will use my str keyword to convert my loop variable I to a string because it is an integer. Then I will write I and then I will use the concatenation here and again here and then I will finish my quotes and then I will finish the brackets and then I will close the bracket. So this is it. Now when I run my program, you can see that this print statement has been printed, my name is, and now when it comes into the loop, in the first iteration the value of I is 0, so here it is 0 and going on till, as I said, the last value 5 will not be printed, so till 4 it is printed here, and just because 0 to 4 will be 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4 5 times, therefore the print statement will print this Jimmy 5 times along with the loop variable I, which I have concatenated with the help of the str keyword here. So this is a basic use of the for loop. Now if we have to do it with the help of the while loop, then I will just change this statement and write while I less than 5, but before that I have to assign or create a variable I and assign a value 0 to it, so that the while loop can detect the presence of a variable I, and then again I have to increment the value of I is equal to I plus 1, or else it will continue to iterate over the same while loop and it will continue to print the Jimmy 5 times string, because the value of I will be permanently 0 and it will not be incremented. As soon as I increment this by a value 1, it will iterate till 5, and when it is equal to 5, then it will come out of the loop. So when I run it, you can see that it produced the same result as was the case in the for loop. So this is how to use a for loop instead of a while loop to produce the same result. The for loop is actually very easy, and generally the for loop is used to iterate over a code for a certain number of times. This is the benefit of the for loop. Or let us move on to the starting, stopping and stepping arguments to the range function. So here some functions can be called with multiple arguments separated by a comma, and range function is one of them. What this lets you do is, this lets you change the integer passed to range function to follow any sequence of integers, including starting of a number other than 0 as well. So let us go to PyCharm and look at examples so that we can understand better. Here I will take an example for I in range 12, 16 followed by colon. Here I is the loop variable. I will say print I. I will say print I, and when I run this program, you will see that the range function, it starts printing from 12, and as I told you, the highest index is not considered. It will be considered till -1, which is 15. So 12, 13, 14 and 15 are printed here. Suppose if you want to use all the 3 arguments or the 3 values in a range function, then we can give an initial value which is 0, and let me take the second value to be 10, and the third value which I am going to give in the range function will be the step, or how you want to increment the values from 0 till 10. If I give the step to be 2, then if I run my program, I will get a step of 2, and the output should be like 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, and as the highest index is not displayed, I will be getting the output till 8. So if I run my program, you can see that 0, then after 2 steps 2 is being printed, after that 4 is printed, after that 6 is printed, and then 8 is printed. So this is how the step function works in range. You can also try it for other values. Suppose you want to go for negative values. If I say 5, then if I take a negative index till -1 and give a step of -1, then it will go backwards and it will print from 5 till 0, because the last index is -1 and it will not be considered. The 0 index will be considered here. So 5 till 0 will be printed. As you can see here, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and 0. So if I want -1 as well to be printed, then I have to change it to -2. And then if I run it, you can see that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0 and -1 have been printed. So this is how we use the 3 integers in the range function. The first one is the starting value, the second one is the final value, which will not be considered. The lesser one will be considered. So -2 will not be considered in this case. -1 will be considered, and this last value is the step by which we want the numbers to increase or decrease. So this is how to use the range function with steps. The next topic is importing modules in Python. So as we know, all Python programs can call a basic set of functions called built-in functions, including the print function, the input function and the length functions, which you have seen before. Python also comes with a set of modules called the standard library. Each module in a Python program contains a related group of functions that can be embedded in your programs. A module is like a utility which has many methods or functions which you can use according to your convenience in your programs. For example, we have the math module which is related to mathematical functions, and we have the random module which has random related functions, and so on. But before you can use the functions in a module, you must know how to import the module with an import statement. The statement for importing a module is the built-in keyword, which is import. In code, an import statement consists of the following. It has the import keyword followed by the name of the module, and if we want to import more than one module, optionally what we can do is we have to separate them by using commas. Now I will show you how to import a module with the help of the import keyword. First of all, I will type the import keyword, and then let me show you how to import a module called the random. As soon as I type random, you can see it has been grayed out. Just because I am not using this module, it is not highlighted, it is grayed out. But as soon as I will be using the random module, it will change its color. I will show you how to do it. I will write for I in range 5. This I is the loop variable, as I told earlier, and 5 is the integer number for the range function. I will use the print function, and I will use my random module now. And to use any method in the random module, what I have to do is I have to use the dot operator. As soon as I type dot, you can see all the methods in the random module are highlighted here. I will use the random dot randint. In between the parentheses, I will use 1, 10. What it will do is it will print any random number between 1 and 10 for 5 times, because I have taken the range variable, range integer value to be 5. So any number between 1 to 10 will be randomly printed 5 times because of the for loop. So when I run this code, here you can see, because the for loop is executed 5 times, I am getting 5 numbers, and these are any random numbers between 1 to 10, 1, 9, 2, 2, and again followed by 10. So this is the use of the import statement to import any module. Here in this case I have used the import statement to import the random module. You can also import many other modules by using the comma, and then you can write the name of other modules as well. I will write math, and you can import OS, which is the operating system module, and you can also import the sys module. You can import any number of modules you want, and because you can see here these 3 modules have not been used, that's why they are being grayed out. Had I used those, this would have been changed to black color, as in the case of this random module. And there is also another way of importing modules by using the from import method. I will show this here. You can type from, then followed by the module name, which is random. I will write import star. This star means all the methods present inside the random module have been imported. Now you can use all the methods inside the random module. So this is also another syntax for importing every method that is present inside any module. It is done by printing from random import star. This is also a way to import modules in Python. So the next topic is how to end a program early with the sys.exit function. So we have already learned many things about the flow control concept. The last flow control concept that we need to cover is how to terminate the program with the help of the sys.exit function. In normal cases, as soon as the program execution reaches the bottom of the instructions, the program is terminated. But while we use for loops and the while loop, then what happens is the control is again given back to the beginning of the loop, and then it again checks the condition. And in the while loop cases, we have to use the continue or the break statement to continue the loop or get out of the loop. But what if we want to terminate the program forcefully? Then we can use the sys.exit function. And since this function is in the sys module, you have to import sys before your program can use it. So here I will show you the example. Here you can see the sys module has been imported, and by using the while loop, a code has been written to go inside an infinite loop, and then by using the print statement, a message has been written which is type exit to exit, and then a variable named response has been created where the user is being prompted for an input. Then they are checking if the response is equal to the string exit, then the sys.exit function has been used, and after the response is equal to the string exit, then we are getting this printed. If the response is equal to this exit, then with the help of this sys.exit function, the program can terminate and come out of the while loop. Otherwise, the response which was given by the user other than the required string value will be printed here. So let me show it to you. So here I will import the sys module, because then only I will be able to use the sys.exit function, and here I will use the while loop and use the true Boolean value to enter into an infinite loop. Then I will print enter exit to end the program, followed by a space so that I can differentiate between the message and the input from the user. Then I will use a variable called response, where I will take the input from the user by using the input function, and then I will use the if statement to check it. If response equal say a string value called exit and colon, then I will use the sys.exit function. So what will happen is, if the user provides this response, then with the help of the sys.exit function, the loop or the program will be terminated. But if the user does not provide this correct
response, then we have to print and display something to the user so that he will understand that he has printed something wrong and he needs to type it again. So I will print you have entered, then I will use the concatenation symbol plus, and I will concatenate the value stored in the response variable. So now when I run my program, you can see it's asking me for the input. Here I will put capital E and write exit. This is not the string that the program is looking for. So when I press enter, it is telling me you have entered exit. But here also you can see that there is no space between this and this. So let me correct it. I will stop the running of the program and I will put a space here, and then I will run it again. Now when I type exit as capital letters E and then press enter, here you can see whatever response I provided has been given here. So again the loop is still continuing, it is not getting out of the program. Again if I type EXXIT with a spelling mistake and press enter, again the loop will be continued and the program is not executed and the program is not exited or terminated. But when I give the correct input value exit, which is equal to the string value here, and then if I press enter, you can see the program has been terminated with the exit code 0. So this is how we use the sys.exit function to terminate a program.
So the next topic is functions. You are already familiar with the print function, the input function and the length functions from the previous chapters. Python provides several built-in functions like this, but if you want, you can also write your own functions. Actually, a function is like a mini program within a program itself. So to better understand how functions work, let us take an example. Here you can see that this is the highlighted definition of a function, or this is the example of a function. Here the first line is a def statement which defines a function name called hello. The code in that block follows the def statement. This part is known as the body of the function. This code is executed when the function is called, not when the function is defined. As you can see here this is the step or the line where the function has been called. In this case, or in this example, the function has been called 3 times. Hello once again, and hello for the third time. So this is a function call. This is a function definition and this is the body of the function. And as long as the function is not called, it will not get executed. Here we have called the function once, twice and then thrice. Then only the function will be executed. The hello lines after the function are function calls. A function call is just the function's name followed by parenthesis, possibly with some other arguments between the parentheses. You can keep a function call empty or you can provide arguments between them. It depends on your requirement. So when the program execution reaches these calls, it will jump to the top line of the function and begin with executing the code there. And when it reaches the end of the function, the execution returns to the line that called the function and continues moving through the code as before. So what I mean to say is, when the function is called, here it has been called once, then it will directly go to the function definition and it will go inside the body of the function and start executing the code. and as soon as the function is completed or the body is executed, then it will move next to this. It will come to this line. Here again the function has been called, so it will again go back and execute and come back. Then it will go to the third call and it will execute the same thing, and again it will come out of this function. So as long as a function is not called, it will not get executed. So here, as I have called the function hello 3 times, this code will be executed 3 times. So this will be the output here. You see, this is 1 time, this is second time, and this is the third time. So because it has been called 3 times, it will produce the output 3 times. The major purpose of functions is to group code that gets executed multiple times. You can see here, a major purpose of functions is to group code that gets executed multiple times. Without a function defined, what we would have to do is we would have to copy and paste this code each time, and the program would look something like this. Here we would have to have copy paste it over and over again like this. So what it does is it actually makes the code very repetitive, and it makes duplication of data, which makes your program longer and decreases your productivity. So it is very good to avoid duplication of code. And what happens is, the advantage of reducing duplication of code is, if you sometimes happen to come up across a bug, then you need to fix only one part of the function. But if you have any copy pasted data, then you have to check every line of the code and change everything one by one. This is the advantage of using functions over normal copy pasted codes. So let me show you the same example in PyCharm. I will write def hello. This is the def keyword, and this is the function name followed by the parenthesis, and I will give the colon and press enter. As you can see here, it has already been indented, and I will print howdy. Again I will take another print statement and I will type howdy, and then I will take another print statement and print good day. Now I will come out of the indentation and I will give 2 spaces and call my function now. See hello, and I will give the call once again and I will call it once more. So when I run this program, you can see here I have called my function 3 times here. But without this function call, this function will not be executed. Here, this is the function definition. This part is the body of the function. And here, this is the function call. I have called it 3 times. Now I will show you by running my program. You can see here, this was the first call and this was the first execution. This was the second call and this was the second execution, and this was the third call and this was the third execution. This is how we write and define a function, and I have shown you how to execute it. So the next topic is define statements with parameters. So when you call the print function or the length function, you pass in values to the print or the length function. These values are called the arguments. By typing those arguments in between these parentheses, these are called in the functions. But you can also define your own functions that accept arguments. So here is an example for that. This is the example. Here you can see this is the function definition and this is the name of the function, and along with it, this is the argument given to it. The argument here is the name, and this is the function body. Here I have used the print statement, and here you can see the string hello is concatenated with the argument or the variable name. So where do we get this called here, this name variable? So now when the function hello is called, you can see in between the parentheses there is a string value, which is Alice. And in the second call of the function hello, we have a name or a string called Bob. So this Alice is the value which will link to this name, and here in the second case this Bob will be linking to this name. So when this function is called, then the print function will print hello plus Alice in the first case, and second case it will print hello plus Bob. So when you run your program, the output will look like this. First case it will be hello Alice, in the second case it will be hello Bob. So let us look at this in PyCharm so that you can understand better. So this was the earlier program where we did not have any argument in the functions. Now I will use the argument name, and I will remove this print statements, and in this I will change it. I will write hello, I will finish the quotes and use the concatenation plus symbol, and then I will use the argument or the variable name. So here when I am calling my function, I can use any values which will be executed and printed in the console. If I say Alice, and in the second case I will say Bob, and in the third case I will say, suppose, John. Now if I run this program, you can see it says hello Alice, hello Bob, and hello John, because I have called my function 3 times here. But as you can see in the output, there is no space. So for that I will give a space here to make it better, and now I will run my program once again. Now you can see there is a space. So this is regarding the define statements with parameters. One special thing about this name argument is that it is forgotten or destroyed as soon as the function returns something. What I mean to say is, whenever a function is called and as soon as the value Alice or Bob or John is returned by this function, then the name argument is destroyed. So if after this I print my variable name and then I run the program, you can already see that it has been highlighted by a red line. So when I run my program, you will find that it has a name error. You can see here it has a name error. It says name is not defined, because as soon as the function returns these values, this argument is destroyed or forgotten by the program. So it cannot be used as a normal variable. So the next topic is return values and return statements. So whenever you call the length function and pass an argument to it such as hello, what actually happens is the length function will calculate the length of the string hello. So in this case, as you can see here, this is the string hello and it has 5 characters or letters, HELLO, 5 characters. So whenever you pass this hello as an argument to the length function, it will calculate the length and return the integer value, which is 5. And in general, the value that a function call evaluates to is called the return value of the function. That is, whatever value is returned by a function call is known as the return value of that function. So when creating a function using the def statement, we can specify what the return value should be by using the return statement. In general, a return statement consists of the following. The first thing is the return keyword, and the second thing is the value or the expression that the function should return. So to let you understand better, I will show you an example which will give you a better idea. So I have already written a program for you. I will explain line by line.
So here what I am doing is I am using the import statement and I am importing the random module here. Then I am using the def keyword to define a function which has the name getAnswer, and then I am passing an argument to it which is answer number. So here I am getting into the function body and I have used some if and elif statements, which are the conditional statements. So here what I have done is I am checking it for certain values, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and till 9. So when the number is 1, then I am returning certain amount of message. When it is 2, I am displaying certain message, and in the same way till it is 9, I am displaying certain message. So what this program is actually going to do is, it is going to tell the fortune when the 8-ball dice is run. So depending on the number that is output, it will tell the fortune in a certain way. But the question is, how do we get the values in this argument? The values which are from 1 till 9. How do we get it? For that, what I have done is, I have taken a variable r where I have used the random function or the random module, and out of the random module I have used the randint method or function by using this dot operator, as you can see here. So as I told in my earlier videos or my earlier topics, I have used the random.randint where I am taking the lower value to be 1 and the higher value to be 9. So what it does is, it produces values from 1 to 9. Then what I have done is, I have taken another variable fortune and I have called the function here. You can see I have called the getAnswer function here, and then I have given the argument r. This variable r I have given as an argument here. Then I am printing this fortune variable. So what it will do is, when I call this getAnswer function, then any number which is getting displayed because of this random.randint function will be going into the function call, and then depending on this number I have the conditional statements and certain message will be displayed. So when I run this program, you can see it says it is certain depending on certain number, and you can also check what number is being printed if I print r here. Now let me run my program. You can see this case it is 4. So when it was 4, I had this reply hazy, try again. So this is being printed here. Now if I run it again, this time the random number is 2 generated by the random.randint function, and that's why the message printed is different. So how many times ever I run this program, it will produce different outputs depending on the random.randint function. So you can see it is changing the number of times I am running it again and again. So it is changing depending on how many times I run it. So this is the use of the return statement in a function. The next topic is the none value. In Python, there is a value called none, which represents the absence of a value. So here, none is the only value of the none type data type. In other programming languages, this is called null or nil or undefined. And just like Boolean true and false values, none must be typed with a capital N. If we type none with a small letter n, it will produce an error. So here is an example. You can see here, this is a variable spam, and it has the print function assigned to it, which has the value hello. Now when this thing is run, then you find that hello has been printed. But when we check using the none value and equate it to the spam variable and execute it, then we can find that the answer is true, because what happens behind the scenes is that Python adds return none to the end of any function definition with no return statement. What it means is, in this print function there is no return statement, therefore Python has automatically added a return none to the end of this function. This is similar to how a while or for loop ends implicitly with the help of a continue statement. And if you use a return statement without a value, then because you are not giving any values to return, therefore none is returned. That's what it means, because if we don't have any value to the return statement, none is returned. So let me take an example so that I can explain better. Here I am taking a variable spam is equal to, I am using the print function and I am taking the hello string, and then I will check it with the if statement. If none equal my spam variable, then I will print true, else I will print false. But before that, let me also print this spam variable. So now what happens is, I have taken a print function and used the hello string and stored it in a spam variable, and then I am printing the content of the spam variable here, and then I am checking whether Python has returned the none statement with it or not by using the if statement. See, here I have given the none value and compared it with the comparison operator and checking it with my spam variable, and then if this none value is true to the return statement of the spam variable, then it will print true, or else it will print false. So let's see when I run this. You can see here, when I am printing this, here you can see the hello string value has been printed, and along with it there is a return statement which says none. And then when I am checking if my none value is equal to my spam variable or not, then you are finding true here. So as I said, the print function automatically returns a none value if you don't give any argument to the return statement. The next topic is keyword arguments and the print function. So most arguments are defined by their position in the function call. For example, I will show you in PyCharm. In my previous program that I showed you, I had imported the random module using the import statement. Here I had used this random.randint method, and here I had taken two values. This was the lower limit 1 and this was the upper limit 9. But I need to tell you something here. Here you can see that I have taken a comment and written random.randint 9, 1 and random.randint 1, 9 are totally different. It means that in this case this is the lower limit and this is the upper limit, and in this case this random.randint function will work. But if I change this value to 9 and then if I change this value to 1, what will happen is this will produce an error. When I run this program, you can see that 9:1 has produced an error. The error is value error, because the lower limit should be less than the upper limit. That means it should start with a low value and end with a higher value. That is the syntax for the randint method. So this will not work this way. This is the correct way to use the random.randint method. So here, as you can see, the function call random.randint 1, 10 will return a random integer between 1 and 10, because the first argument is the low end of the range and the second argument is the high end of the range. But you can see here, while random.randint 10, 1 causes an error, because the lower limit has to be 1 and the upper limit has to be 10. So it produces an error, as I showed you in the example. But keyword arguments are identified by the keyword put before them in the function call. Therefore, keyword arguments are often used for optional parameters. For example, the print function has the optional parameters called end and sep. to specify what should be printed at the end of its arguments and between its arguments. So I will show you one example where you can understand better. Here, if you run the following program, say print hello and then print world, the output should be like this. First it will print hello and then it will print world. But here, if in the print function I use the end keyword and specify end is equal to an empty string, this means that the control will be in the same line and it will not go to the next line. And then if I print world, so hello and world will be printed in the same line. Normally when we use the print function, what happens is the print function automatically adds a new line character to the end of the string it is passed. So when we use this print function here, it automatically adds a new line and the world string that you see here will be printed in the next line. But when we use this end equal to empty string method, then what happens is the world string will be printed together with the hello world. We also have another keyword or the argument which is called the sep or the separator. For example, here you can see I have a print function which prints cats, dogs and mice, and when it is run, then the output will be somewhat like this: cats, dogs and mice. But if we use the sep keyword and write sep is equal to, and between the quotes if I assign this comma, then what will happen is the cats, dogs and mice will automatically be separated by using a comma, as you can see here. So let us do this in the pie chart so that you get a better understanding. I will remove all this for you, delete, and then I will print hello, and here I will put a comma and then I will write end is equal to an empty string. What will happen is it will keep the control in the same line. It will not put a new line character after the print function. So when I again print world here and run my program, you can see hello and world are printed in the same line. So here if I give a space after hello and then if I run my program again, you can see there is a space between hello and world. But if I don't use this argument and print it as it is, removing the comma as well, then if I run my program, you can see hello and world are printed in separate lines because the empty print function adds a new line character after the output. So we are getting both the outputs in different lines. But as I showed you, if we use end is equal to an empty string, then the output will be in the same line. Also, I need to show you how to use the sep argument. For that, I will print cats, comma, mice, comma, dogs. So when I run my program here, you can see cats, mice and dogs have been separated with the help of a space. This is done automatically by the print function. But if we assign the sep or the separator argument, sep is equal to, in between the quotes if I give a comma, then if I run my program again, you can see cats, mice and dogs have been separated with this separator. It can be a full stop as well. If I give a full stop here and if I run my program, you can see cats, mice and dogs have been separated by a full stop. So whatever you give or assign as a separator here will be treated as a separator by the print function. So here I have used exclamation marks. This also separates the three strings. So this is about the end and the sep arguments in the print function. The next topic is local and global scope. So parameters and variables that are assigned in a function are said to exist in that function's local scope. the variables which are assigned outside all functions are said to exist in the global scope. So now the question arises, what are local variables and global variables? So a variable that exists in a local scope is called a local variable, while a variable that exists in a global scope is called a global variable. So now we understand that a variable must be one or the other. It cannot be both local and global. So this is the definition of local and global variables. Now the question arises, what would happen if there were no scopes for variables? Suppose if your program was 1000 lines longer and you did not have any local or other scopes and you only had global variables, and you happen to come up across any bugs, then you have to search through your entire program, which is so long that you will be wasting your entire time in finding the bugs. But if you have a local and a global scope, what happens is you will be very easily able to find the local variables, because the local variable will only be existing in the function's local scope. So if you change the variable in the function where you have encountered with the bug, then it is very easy to change that variable. Otherwise, if you have to change all the bugs in the global variables, it will be very tedious, and at the same time it will be time consuming and very difficult to debug the program. So a local scope is created whenever a function is called. Any variables that are assigned in this function exist within the local scope. When the function returns, the local scope is destroyed and these variables are forgotten, as I had showed you earlier. The next time you call this function, the local variables will not remember the value stored in them from the last time the function was called. So there are certain reasons why scopes matter. Let me tell you the reasons. The first one is, code in the global scope cannot use any local variables. That means any global variable cannot access any local variables from a function's call. And however, a local scope can access global variables, because global variables can be accessed by any function which is written in that program. And the third one is, code in a function's local scope cannot use variables from any other local scope. What this means is that if there are more than one function in a program, then a variable in the local scope of one function cannot access the variable in the local scope of another function. But you can use the same name for different variables if they are in different scopes. That means if there is a variable named spam in the local space, you can also have a global variable named spam. That doesn't matter. So as I told you, there are reasons behind having a local and a global scope, because it makes the program very easy to debug and find out the bugs. And also, if the program length is longer, it becomes very easy for error detection and correction. Otherwise, if we did not have any global or local scopes, it will be very tedious and difficult in finding the errors, and it will decrease the productivity of the program and the programmer. Now let me show you some examples how local variables cannot be used in the global scope. Here, consider this program. Here I have defined a function called spam, and in the function call I have taken a variable x and assigned the value as 31337. Then in the next line I have called the function spam, and after that I have printed x. Now in this case, this x here is a local variable which is fixed or inside the spam function. Then after calling the spam function, I am again trying to print it in the global space. So if we run this program, I will show you what will happen. I will take a def statement and use a function name called spam, and I will use a colon, then press enter, and then I will define a local variable called x and assign the value 3312.7 to it. After that, I will call the spam function from outside, and after that, if I try to print the x variable, you can already see that there is a red color underlined highlighted text which shows that there is an error here. We cannot call this local variable outside of the scope of the local variable. So if I try to run it, you can see there is a name error and it says the name x is not defined. So if I delete this and then run my program, it is okay and there is no error in my code. So this is the difference between using of the local and the global variable. So a local variable cannot be used in the global scope, as you saw here. So let us now see the next topic, which is local scopes cannot use variables in other local scopes. What it means is, if we define a function and in the function body, if we define or assign any variable, it is inside that function's body or function's local scope. And again, if we define another function and inside its body we assign another variable to its local scope, the both variables in different local scopes cannot be accessed from the either function. So what it means is, a new local scope is created whenever a function is called, including when a function is called from another function. So what it means is, a variable in a function's local scope cannot be accessed from a variable in another function's local scope. Let me show you with the help of an example, then you will understand better. I will go to PyCharm, and here I have already written a program for you. You can see here I have defined a function called spam, and in that I have used a local variable called x and assigned the value of 99. After that, in the scope of this spam function, I have called another function which is bacon, and as soon as I have called the bacon function, it creates another local scope for this function, and in it I have printed x. But this x does not resemble the variable in the local space of the spam function. These two are totally different. So as soon as the bacon function is called and returned, the local scope of this bacon function gets destroyed, and the control will then come on to this bacon function. And then, because in the bacon function I have not used any return statement, so you can see here the ham variable I used here and put the value 101 is not highlighted because I have not used it anywhere. And also the x variable in this bacon function's local scope is also not used because it is not highlighted. So the control after this function is returned will return to this spam function, and so what my program should display is this, because here I am printing x. Now this x variable will have the value of this x variable, which is 99. This belongs to the local scope of the spam function. Let me run and show you so that you get a better idea. When I am running this, you can see I am getting 99. So this bacon function, when it is called, it has nothing here because this x variable will not be used because I have assigned x equal to 0. As I said, the local variable here cannot use the local variable name in the spam function. Both cannot be same. Therefore, it has not been highlighted, and therefore it is not printing this statement, because as soon as the bacon function is called, what happens is, just because I am not returning any values in the bacon function, its local scope will be destroyed and the control will move on to the spam function where I have called it. And what will happen is, in the spam function, when we move into it, we can see that I have printed the x variable, which is the local variable here, and the 99 is the result of this. And so when I run my program, I get the result as 99. So what it means is the local variable of one function's scope cannot access the local variable of another function's scope. The next topic is global variables can be read from a local scope. What it means is, consider the following program, you will understand it in a better way. Here I have used a def and I have defined a function called spam, and then inside the function's local space I have used the print statement and printed eggs, and again then I have come out of the function's scope and then I have used a global variable here x and assigned the value 42. Now when I am trying to call the spam function, what it will do is it will print the value stored in the global scope where it was assigned the value 42, because here we haven't defined any local variable x inside the spam function. So this x equal to 42 variable is outside the scope of this function. That's why this is the global variable, and that's why it can be used inside the spam function. And again, after calling the spam function here, I am again printing x. So this x will be taken as the global variable here, and it will also produce the result 42. It will also produce the result 42 once again. So if I run this program, I have already written it out for you. So here if I show you again, this is the spam function and this is the print function used in the scope of this spam function. Here I have written print x. Here I have not assigned any variable x, so this x will point to the x which is outside the scope of this spam function, and this x will be a global variable which has the value 42. So when I am calling this spam function here, it will print x. This x will point to this x variable and the value will be printed once, and then after the function call is finished, then again I have used the print function and printed the x variable. Here this x variable is also the global variable x which has 42. So when I run this program, I should get 42 printed twice. Let me run it for you. You can see 42 is printed twice. The first one is because of this print statement which was inside the function scope. Here this x was representing this x global variable and the 42 was printed here once, and then after the spam function was called, then I have again printed x. So this x is pointing again to the x variable which is the global variable which has the 42. Therefore again 42 is printed. So a global variable can be locally used in any functions. The next point is we should never use the local and global variables with the same name. So in order to simplify our life and our working with the program codes, we should avoid using local variables that have the same name as global variables or any other local variables. But technically it is perfectly legal to do so in Python. But to avoid any confusion, we should never use the name of a local variable similar to a global variable, and also we should never use two local variables of different scopes with the same names. It creates confusion and rather it should be avoided. To see what happens, let us check with an example. I will go to my PyCharm and here I have already written out a code for you. Here you can see I have defined a function called spam, and inside it I have created a local variable called x, and I have given this string value called spam local to it. And when here in the function call, when I am printing x, then it will print spam local. And again I have defined another function called beacon, and here I have again assigned another x variable, the string value called beacon local, and here again I am printing x. Here this x is referring to the local variable which is x here, and it will print bacon local. Now inside this bacon function I am calling the spam function. Just because I am calling this spam function inside this bacon function, what will happen is when I print x here, this x will refer to the local variable x here, and here also it will print bacon local. And after I come out of this scope of this bacon function, I have created a global variable called x, and I have assigned the string value global here, as you can see. And then I am calling the bacon function here. What will happen is it will print bacon local once, and then because of the spam function it will again print bacon local once more. And then after the function call for the bacon function is finished or destroyed, then I will print again x. So this x here is referring to the global variable x, which has the string literal global saved inside it. So here when I print x, it will print global. So let me explain you the flow of this program code. Let me check where is the first function call. Here, as you can see, there is a function call here. This function call is inside this bacon function. So first we have to call this bacon function. Here you can see this is the first function call. So now the control will be given to this bacon function, and in that first print x statement will be printed. So this x variable is referring to this string literal, and first it will print bacon local, and then after that the control will be given to this spam function, where again I am printing x. So therefore this x is again referring to this bacon local, as you can see here. So again this bacon local will be printed, which is the local variable of this bacon function, and after that the control will be coming out of this function. And here I have assigned a x variable which is global, and it has the literal string value global saved to it. And then when this function has already been called, so the control of this function is also destroyed, and finally I will print this x, and here I should get the result of the global variable x. Now I will tell you the total flow of this program. Here let me show you where is the first function call. Here first function call is here, but it is inside this bacon function, so we have to call this bacon function at first. Here it has been called. So what it will do is, as soon as the bacon function is called here, it will go to this function local scope, and here you can see it will print this x variable which has the string bacon local. So bacon local will be printed here, and then the spam function has been called. So what it will do is, it will go to this spam function, and then it will print this x which has the value spam local, which is the local variable x in this case. Now when this is printed, then again this print function will have the control, and it will print x, but this x here refers to this bacon local value which is stored in this local variable of the bacon function, and therefore it will again print bacon local. And finally it comes out of the control of this bacon function, and then because the x global variable has the string value global saved into it, so when I print x once again, this refers to this global variable and it will print global. So the answers would be bacon local, spam local, again bacon local, and finally it should print global. Let me run it so that I can show you. Yes, as I told you, it's bacon local, spam local, bacon local, and finally due to the global variable x, I'm getting the string global as the output. So there are actually three variables in this program, as you can see here. this x variable is a local variable which belongs to the spam function. This x variable is a local variable which belongs to this bacon function, and this x variable is totally different from the earlier two x variables. This is called the global variable, and it also has the name x. And as I told you in the definition, you can have local and global variables with the same names, but to avoid confusion you should have the or form the habit of using different names for different variables in different local scopes or global scopes. The next topic is the global statement. Here the global statement is used if you need to modify a global variable from within a function's scope. So let me show you with the help of an example so that you understand better. I will open PyCharm, and here as you can see I have already written a code for you. Here this is a global variable x and it has the string global stored in it. Now if we want to change the content or the value of this global variable x and change this value, then we need to use this global keyword inside the spam function here. So I use the keyword global and then I am calling this x variable, and then I am giving a new value to this x variable. The value here is spam. So I am in a way changing the value global to my string which is spam now. Now when I run my spam function or when I call my spam function, then what will happen is the value of the global variable x will change and it will be spam now. And then when I am using the print statements and printing the value of this global variable x, then it should return the answer spam because I have changed it here. I am running it. You can see it is returning the spam. So using the global statement you can change or make changes to the values stored in the global variables. Therefore earlier it was having the string global, now it is having the string spam. So when I ran my program, it produced spam as the result. Also I need to show you another example. So now in this example you can see that I am using the x variable here and I am using the print function to print the x variable. But what happens is after I am using the x variable, I am again trying to create a new local variable x with the value spam local, but already x is a global variable which has the value global inside it. So you can see when I am not creating a local variable and using the print statement, it is producing an error because it is highlighted in red. So it is not working, or it will not work when I use the spam calling function. So when I run it, you can see that there is an error here, unbound local error. You can see this here because this is the reason: local variable x referenced before assignment. That means that here I have assigned the local variable x this string value, but before assigning this I am referencing it here. You can see it here. That's why it is producing an error. That's why I have commented it out and showed that this thing will produce an error. So before assignment of a local variable with some value, we cannot reference to it. So there are 4 rules to tell whether a variable is in a local scope or global scope. The first rule is, if a variable is being used in the global scope, then it is always a global variable. Then the second rule is, if there is a global statement for that variable in a function, it is also a global variable. The third rule is, if the variable is used in an assignment statement in the function, it is a local variable. Remember this word. If it is used in an assignment statement in the function or inside the function, it is a local variable. And the fourth one is, if the variable is not used in an assignment statement, it is a global variable. So these are the 4 rules. To understand them better, let us go to PyCharm and look into an example. Here I have written a program for you. So here I have used a spam function and defined it, and here I have used the global keyword, and I'm trying to change the value of the variable, which is x, and this is a global variable. As you can see here, x is equal to 42 is the value here, and I am using the global keyword to change the value, and here I am assigning a value, new value, to the x variable, which is spam. So it was 42, here I am changing it to spam. So as you can see here, this is the global variable, but here I am not using the global keyword, I am just assigning a value back into it. So this x variable is a local variable, so this is the local, and in the ham function I am printing x, so I am not using any assignment operator here, so this is the global variable. And can you just tell me what will be the output when I run this program? I am giving you 10 seconds to think about it. When you come back, I will tell you what is the actual solution of this program. So did you guess the answer or the output? Okay, here is my solution or the answer. Here first, this is the spam function, this is the bacon function, and this is the ham function, and this is the global variable, and I am only calling the spam function. So what is inside the spam function? Let's see here. In the spam function, I am using the global statement and changing the value of the global variable x to spam. So this is only being done here because I am calling the spam function. So what happens is, the value of the spam, the value of the x variable will be changed to spam. Then what happens is, I am not printing anything in the spam function, I am only calling the spam function just to change the value of the egg variable. It was earlier 42, now it will be changed to spam. So now as we see, the value of the global variable x has changed permanently to spam. Now if I am using the print function here and then I am using the global variable x, if I run it, the answer should be spam. As you can see here, the answer is spam. So this is how this whole thing is working. The next topic here is exception handling. So as of now, getting an error or exception in your Python program means that the entire program will crash. But you don't want this to happen in real world programs, right? Instead, you want the program to detect the errors, handle those errors, and then continue them to run. So to explain you in a better way, I have taken an example here. See this example. Here I have defined a function called spam and passed a parameter here or an argument which is divide by. Then I have returned 42 an integer and used the argument divide by here. And after that I have called the function, used the print function, and in the print function I have called the spam function by giving divide by some values 12, 2, 0 and 1. Now when we run this program, what will happen is it will print the answer when it is divisible by 2, by 12, by 1, but what will happen if it is divisible by 0? Any integer cannot be divided by 0. So I will show you what you will encounter while you are running this program. Let me go to my PyCharm, and here I have already written the code for you. So when I run it, you can see here, I will zoom in for you. It has printed the output when it is divisible by 2 and when it is divisible by 12 as well. But in the third case, when it is divided by 0, it produced a 0 division error, which is division by 0, because integers or numbers cannot be divided by 0. 0 doesn't divide any number. So in real world applications, this kind of errors are encountered by us. So now the question is, how do we solve these errors? We can solve these errors by using the try except clause. Let me take you to the screen. Here I will show you once again. A 0 division error happens when you try to divide a number by 0. So how to encounter or tackle this error? So here you can see that errors can be handled with try and except statements. The code that potentially has or have an error is put in a try clause. The program execution moves to the start of the following except clause if an error happens. So let me now try to show you what will exactly happen. I will take this block of code and I will use it in my PyCharm. Let me show you what will actually happen when I change this by using the try and except block. So here I am deleting this thing and I will paste this. Here you can see, so here I have used the try and except block. What will happen is, when this expression is put in the try block, it will try to divide 42 by 2, by 12, by 0 and then by 1. And when it is divided by 0, it will encounter an error. Then it will go into the except block, and because it will encounter the 0 division error, in this case it will print error invalid argument. So I will run it and show you how it works. I am running it. You can see here it divided by 2, then by 12, and in case of 0, what happened is it said invalid argument, and then again for the last one, when it was divided by 1, it produced this final 42 as the answer. Now you can also change the statement which you have here. It says invalid argument. Now I can change it. I will change it to cannot divide by 0, and when I run it again, you can see the message here has been changed. So this is the use of the try except block. So what it does is it tackles the errors encountered by a program and deals with it automatically by using the try and exit statements. In the same example, again I will show you how to do it in another way, and then you will get a different output. What I am going to do is, I will take this return statement out of this try block and I will put it in the function, and then I will take this try block out of the scope of the function, and as well as I will take the except block out, and then I will take this print functions inside the try block. Then I will paste it here, and now you see I have in the function call only the return 42 divided by my divide by argument, and in the try block I have this print statements where I am calling the spam function 4 times using the arguments 2, 12, 0 and 1. Then I am going into the except block where I will encounter with the 0 division error, and here if it encounters 0 division error, it will print invalid argument cannot divide by 0, but it will produce a different output. That is what I want to show you now. I will run it, and you can see here what actually happened was it divided it by 2 and produced 21.0. Again it divided it by 12 and produced 3.5, but as soon as it was trying to divide by 0, it encountered this 0 division error, and what happened is it went into the except block and then it printed this statement which is here. And after it encountered the except block, it did not go again to the try block, it continued to go to the next line moving forward. So that's why we are not getting the result for the divisibility when it was divided by 1. So this is the difference here. So what will happen is it will be divided by 2 and the answer will be printed. Again for 12 it will be output, for 0 it will not be output, that's why it will go to the except block and print this, and it will move out of the program. So that's it. This is the difference between the use of the try except block in the earlier program and also in this same program used in a different way. The next topic is a simple program. It can be considered as a game as well. This program is a short program which is guessing the number, and after the program is written and executed, you will get an output like this. Here you can see I am telling the user to think of a number between 1 and 20. Then I am telling the user to guess. According to the guess, if the guess is less than my number, it will print your guess is too low, or else if it is high, it will print it is too high. Then if it is correct, then it will tell good job, you guessed my number in 4 guesses, and it will also tell the number of counts in which the user has guessed the number. So I have already written it in PyCharm for you. I will show it there so that you can understand. Here what I have done is I have imported the random module, and then I have taken a variable secret number where I have used the random.randint function as I have explained you earlier, and I have taken the lower limit to be 1 and the upper limit to be 20 so that I can select between these two numbers. Then I am printing, I am thinking of a number between 1 and 20. Then I will set a limit for the user to guess between my numbers for 6 times. The limit is 6 times. That's why I have taken a for loop where I have written guesses taken. This is the loop variable, and I have taken the range 1 to 7. As we know, it will start from 1 and it will go till 6 because the last index is not counted. Then I am printing take a guess, and I am prompting the user to give the guess input. Now, as you can see here, this thing says if the guess is less than the secret number, it will print the guess is low, or else if it is higher, it will print the guess is high, or else finally if the guess is correct, then it will break, and then I will check if the guess is equal to the secret number. It will print, you can see here, it will print good job, you guessed my number in this much guesses or this much number of times. Otherwise it will print I was not thinking of this number, I was thinking rather of my number, and I will link it to my number so that I can print my secret number. And also you can see I have used the str keyword for the type conversion because the number will be an integer, so I have to concatenate with string, therefore I am using the str keyword. So now when I run this program, you can see that I am thinking of a number between 1 and 20. Take a guess. When I take the guess to be 2 and press enter, it says your guess is too low, and then if I press 4 and press enter, again it says your guess is too low, so I will go for say 9 and then press enter. It says your guess is too high. Then if I press 7 and press enter, now you can see it says good job, you guessed my number in 4 guesses. But I want to check other conditions as well. So what I will do is I will take a new look, I will run it again, and then I will guess it another time. I will say 6 and press enter. In this case I automatically guessed it correct in the first instant only, that's why it says good job. Let me try it again. I will run it and I will take the guess to be 7, say enter. It says your guess is too low. Then I will try typing 6, then 5, then 6 again, then 4 again, then 3 again. Now you can see that I already guessed 6 times and it said no, the number I was thinking of was 16. This is what I did to show you the else statement which has to be printed. So this is a simple guess the number program which you can practice at home and understand about the import statements, the print statements, the for loop and the break statements in a same program. And also you can know about the concatenation of strings as well. Thank you.
With this, we come to the end of module 1. If you have any doubts, you can post them in the comment section. I will try to clarify all of them. If you like the video, please like, share and subscribe to our channel Coders Arcade and press the bell icon to get notified about our upcoming videos. Also, please stay tuned for the next module of this playlist. Thank you.